Hey guys, it's Nolan from Windermere Real Estate in Silverdale, Washington. And something that we're starting to see a little more often here in Kitsap County and the surrounding areas are home sale contingencies. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to explain that from both perspectives, whether you're looking to purchase a home and would like to make a purchase with a home sale contingency, or if you're maybe selling a home in the area and you maybe are receiving an offer with this. Hopefully this can give you a little more insight into what that will entail. So there's typically going to be two different type of contingencies, either a 22B, which would mean that the buyer either has their home on the market and hasn't received an offer yet, or they're going to put their home on the market. Or a 22Q, which means that the buyer has their home on the market and they have received an offer, they have a pending sale themselves. So we're going to talk about both of those, and then there's also something we'll go into called a bump clause in the case that there was a contingent offer accepted, but then another offer comes along, there's a bump clause. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's get started. Okay, so here we have our 22B, and again, this is in the instance where the buyer either has their home on the market and has not received an offer yet, or they need to put their home on the market. It can work in either case. Now there's a lot of information on this form. I won't go over all of it, but I'll just hit on some of the most important points. Hopefully you're working with a great agent. If you're not, I'd be more than happy to represent you. Feel free to reach out. But here are some of the important points to note on this 22B. So that buyer would put this addendum in their offer, saying that in order to buy your home, I need to sell my home at this property. And as you can see, the boilerplate here is that I need to accept an offer on that home, my home that I need to sell. I need to accept an offer on that within 45 days after mutual acceptance of this agreement. Okay, sorry, I know it gets a little confusing. Then it goes on to say that the buyer shall list the buyer's property for sale on the MLS with a licensed real estate firm within 5 days. Now, of course, you could change that date and negotiate that, but that's the boilerplate, very common. So you're not allowed to do any for sale by owners or anything unusual like that. And then going on further down below, that offer that I would be accepting on my home that I need to sell in order to buy this other home, follow me there, that cannot have a contingent offer. So I cannot accept a 22B or a 22Q. Also, that offer has to have a closing date of somewhere between 30 and 45 days. So the total timeline for this could be potentially 90 days because the buyer who is making the offer with the home sale contingency on their home has to accept an offer on their home within 45 days. And then that offer could have a closing date of 45 days out. So hypothetically, if they accepted an offer on the 45th day, and if it had a 45-day closing, it could be 90 days. That would be the longest that it would be. It's unusual for all those things to go all the way out to the very end, but it's a possibility. Now there are some other notices and forms. If that buyer who has their home contingent that they need to sell receives an offer that maybe has a closing date of less than 30 days. Maybe it's got a 21-day closing. There are forms that you could give notice and ask that original seller, hey, we've got this contingent sale. They want to close. We just got an offer that they want to close within 21 days. Would that be okay with you? So there are notices to potentially work around this, but I would say generally plan to stick within the boilerplate language because there's a lot of moving parts with this, and to try to keep everything online with lending and escrow and all the moving parts that need to happen at the same time for all this to happen, we really try to stay within those parameters. And then here we have our 22Q, which is I would say a lot more simple. And this is, hey, I've got my home on the market. I already received an offer. We are pending, and I would like to buy your home. This is the form that you would provide in your offer. And it basically just says that this agreement is contingent on the closing of the sale at this property. The closing of the purchase and sale agreement for the pending sale must be attached to this agreement. So you do have to attach that so they can see it, see the terms and everything in it. And the term pending sale includes property that may be subject to an inspection, feasibility, or any other contingency. And the buyer may not extend the closing date of that pending sale if such extension would delay the closing of this agreement that you're proposing to offer. And the buyer must give notice to the seller within 2 days of learning that the pending sale has failed. I would say 2 days seems like a long time. I would try to give that notice as soon as possible. Okay, so there we have it for some basic information on the 22B and the 22Q contingent offers. Now let's talk a little bit about these contingent offers from both perspectives, because I think it's helpful to understand it from both sides. So if you're a seller and you just put your house on the market, maybe for a week or less than a week, and you feel like you're competitively priced and you think that you should be getting some fair offers pretty quickly, you receive one of these contingent offers. Essentially what they're asking you to do is to put your home in contingent status on the MLS for 30 to 45 days. So if you're new on the market, this is less appealing unless this offer is a really great offer, maybe above asking price, something really, really appealing that would make you want to take it off the market for 30 to 45 days. Alternatively, let's say that you've been on the market for a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months, something like that, and you've kind of gone stale, you're not getting many offers, you don't have a lot of action coming in, and you receive one of these contingent offers, you might be a lot more interested in considering it. And so when we think about that from a buyer's perspective, if we see a home that comes on the market and it's brand new on the market, looks like a really great house, and you're looking to make a contingent offer, it's going to be less appealing. Unless you're above listing, you've got to find a way to really make it appealing to that seller for them to want to accept that contingent offer. But maybe if you're looking at a home that's been on the market for a few months and you know that they haven't had a lot of action, this might be something that they would obviously be interested in. So think about it from both perspectives, but that's essentially what you're asking when you make a contingent offer, is you're asking them to take it off the market for 30 to 45 days, unless you have a pending sale and you have a sooner closing date than that 30 to 45 days, that situation may be slightly different. Now, just because you've accepted one of these contingent offers doesn't mean that you cannot look at anything else. So let's talk a little bit about that. We have what's called a bump clause. So, and this is something to note, maybe if your agent does this or not, but this is something that they should be considering doing when they search for homes for you. So should be searching for contingent properties, because these contingent properties have one of these 22B or 22Qs in all likelihood, and they can be bumped. So maybe they've got a 22B and it's been 21 days and they don't have any offers on their home. Things are starting to look a little bit like, okay, where are we at here? Are we looking good? Are we not looking good? You can come along and make a really strong offer, and then you can give a bump notice to that 22B contingent buyer who made the first offer. So let's talk a little bit about that bump notice. Okay, so in order to give that bump notice, we have to first have this second buyer's addendum, the Form 39. So this can get a little bit complicated. I'll do my best to keep it simple. So let's say that you're the seller, you've accepted an offer, and that offer has a home sale contingency. They have to accept an offer on their home within 45 days. So it's been some period of time, less than 45 days, and they have not received an offer yet. You get another buyer that comes along and they want to make an even better offer on your house. Then that's when we would bring in this form, the second buyer's addendum, Form 39. And this acknowledges that there is a first buyer and that the prior sale is contingent on first buyer entering into an agreement of the sale of first buyer's property on or before whatever that date was. Then it goes on to say that the prior sale provides that if seller accepts another offer to sell the property, then notice of seller's acceptance of second offer shall be given to that first buyer. And that's when we bring in the bump notice. If after receipt of the bump notice, the first buyer does not give timely notice that the first buyer has either sold their property or is waiving their home sale contingency, then that prior sale shall terminate and the second buyer shall proceed to closing. there's a little bit more info that I want to talk about, and that's these waivers here. So let's back it up here. Let's say you're the seller, you have that contingent offer, you have the second person come to you, say, hey, I'd like to make an offer on your home even better. You're going to be asking that second buyer, hey, you've got to satisfy all these things, because what we don't want to happen is I bump that first buyer and say, hey, we got the second buyer, they're going to buy our house. And then that second buyer moves into first position, and then they have their inspection, and then they say, wait, we don't like the inspection, now we don't want to buy it. Right? So that's what we're trying to avoid here. And so that's what all these are about, saying to that second buyer, hey, before I go and give this bump notice, do your inspection, check over all these things, get your financing, everything figured out. I don't want you coming back. You're not going to have the opportunity to get out of this. You need to be 100% sure that you're going to do this before I get rid of these other people who are looking to buy my home. And then this paragraph stating that once all of those contingencies have been satisfied or waived, that's when we will send the bump notice to that first buyer. And that's a really simple form. This is the 44 bump notice. Very simple. Just, hey, we got another offer. It says in our previous agreement that if we get another offer, we need to tell you via this form. We're just letting you know, right? That's what's going on there. And then that first buyer is typically going to have between 48 and 72 hours to respond to decide what they're going to do. And they have the option to either say, okay, that's fine, we can't sell our house, we understand, you can take that other offer, or they can, maybe they get an offer and they say, hey, we got an offer, we're accepted, we're moving forward, we're ready to go. Or maybe they say, you know what, fine, we'll waive our home sale contingency, it's fine, we'll move forward, we don't need to sell the house, we'll figure it out another way through lending, we'll figure it out. And that concludes the video. Like I said, we are seeing more of these happen here in the Kitsap area. So hopefully this video can give you a little bit more insight and understanding into each side of things, taking a look at the 22B and the 22Q and the 39 second buyer's addendum form and the form 44 bump notice. You're basically a real estate agent. You probably don't even need me now, but if you're looking for a great real estate agent, I would be more than happy to represent you. Please feel free to reach out anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions about any real estate transactions that you may be looking at, or just general questions about the community. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.